Somewhere on a mountain grade right now, a 30-year-old rig with 1 million miles on the clock is dragging 80,000 pounds uphill without flinching, while a brand new truck behind it quietly throttles itself back to protect a clogged emissions filter. That's not nostalgia talking. That's iron, torque, and a fuel system built before computers learned the word no. These are 10 old diesel haulers that still outpull the shiny stuff rolling off the line today. Let's get into it. Number 1. Peterbilt 359. Start with the truck that practically invented the long nose legend. Peterbilt built the 359 from 1967 all the way to 1987, and it was the company's first true long hood conventional, a wide-hooded machine designed from the ground up to swallow Caterpillar's big-bore diesels. That tilting aluminum hood wasn't just for looks. It gave mechanics unprecedented access to the engine bay, and it gave buyers room for the largest motors of the era, including the Cat 3406, 3408, and even experimental 3412 power. The engine that defines the 359 in most people's minds is the mechanical Caterpillar 3406B, a 14.6-liter inline-six, commonly spec'd around 425 horsepower behind an Eaton Fuller 13-speed. And here's the thing about that mechanical fuel system. It has no computer telling it to behave. There's no diesel particulate filter to clog, no diesel exhaust fluid to run dry, no electronic derate waiting to cut your power on a long climb. Want more pull? You turn it up. Bigger injectors, a tweaked rack, more fuel, and you wake up power a modern emissions-compliant engine simply cannot make without throwing codes and limping home. That's the real meaning of pulls harder. A brand new truck makes more horsepower on a spec sheet, sure, but a 3406-powered 359 makes its torque low, flat, and uninterrupted. Exactly the kind of relentless grunt you want with a heavy trailer behind you and a grade in front of you. These trucks routinely cross 1, 2, even 3 million miles, and plenty of them are still working and still turning heads at shows. Peterbilt knew what it had. When the 359 finally bowed out in 1987, the company sent off the last run as numbered 359 Classic editions that collectors fight over to this day. Number 2. Kenworth W900. If the 359 is royalty, the Kenworth W900 is the dynasty. In one form or another, this conventional has been in production since 1961, the narrow hood original, then the wide hood W900A from 1965 to 1982, the third generation W900B from late 1982 on, and the stretched-out W900L long hood that arrived in 1990 and became one of the most beloved trucks ever built. Outside of the Mack R-Model, it's the longest produced commercial truck in North American history, and in a sign of just how rare its kind has become, Kenworth announced in 2025 that it would finally end W900 production in 2026, driven out by emissions rules and component constraints. That alone is making the old ones more coveted by the day. Spec one with the right engine, and you've got a heavy-haul weapon. The classic choice is Cummins, the 855 cubic inch 14.0-liter Big Cam. Built from 1976 to 1985 and named for its larger-than-average 2.5-inch camshaft, or its legendary successor, the N4. The N14 Select Plus, released in 1996, made up to 525 horsepower. But the number that matters is the torque, a massive 1,850 lb-Ft and available right off idle at just 1,200 RPM. That last detail is the whole story. Pulling a heavy load up a grade. You don't live at high RPM, you live down low, where the work happens. An N14 dumps nearly all its torque exactly there, which is why these trucks feel like they pull harder than newer rigs, even when the newer rig has a bigger horsepower badge. Add in the N14's reputation. It's a card-carrying member of the Million Mile Club, cheap to maintain, simple to rebuild, and famous as one of the best-sounding engines ever to storm down an interstate. And you understand why owner-operators guard their old W900s like family heirlooms. Number 3. Peterbilt 379. When the 359 retired in 1987, the Peterbilt 379 picked up the torch and ran with it for 20 years, all the way to 2007. It became arguably the most customized truck on the planet, and underneath all that chrome lived some of the most tunable diesel power ever sold. The headline engine is Caterpillar. The 3406E Built from 1993 to 1999, was a 14.6-liter electronic inline-six rated up to 550 horsepower and 1,850 lb-50 torque, with electronic unit injection that finally married big mechanical muscle to precise fuel control. In 1999, it was replaced by the larger 15.2-liter C15. And here is where the legend really lives, the pre-2004 non-ACERT C15, known to every diesel enthusiast by its engine prefix, the 6NZ. The 6NZ is the engine truck pullers, hot rodders, and heavy haulers worship. Out of the box, it's strong. Opened up, it's absurd. With injectors, a tune, and the right turbo, built 6NZ and 3406E engines make 800, 1000. Even well over 1,500 horsepower for competition sled pulling, using factory bottom-end parts that were simply overbuilt from the start. The 3406E is famously called the last of the best before emissions hardware got complicated, and it's a pre-emissions engine, which means it's actually illegal to install new in California, a badge of honor in enthusiast circles. So when we say a 379 pulls harder than new ones, we're being literal. A stock 6NZ already outmuscles plenty of newer trucks that quietly derate themselves during a regen cycle. A built one isn't even a contest. It'll yank a sled or a heavy trailer in a way a clean, computer-managed modern engine was specifically designed never to do. Peterbilt knew the 379 status too. The final 1,000 trucks were sent out as legacy class editions before the 389 took over. Number 4. Freightliner FLD120 Classic XL. Not every legend is a chrome show truck. The Freightliner FLD120 and its dressed-up sibling, the Classic XL, were the unglamorous fleet haulers that quietly racked up more miles than almost anything else on the road, and a huge share of them did it behind one of the most important diesel engines ever made, the Detroit Diesel Series 60. Introduced in 1987, the Series 60 was a genuine milestone. It was the first heavy-duty on-highway engine with fully integrated electronic controls, Detroit's DDS6 system, years before Cummins or Caterpillar followed. It used a single overhead camshaft and electronic unit injectors at a time when most rivals were still purely mechanical. The popular 12.7-liter version made up to roughly 500 horsepower with a famously flat torque curve and best-in-class fuel economy, and the later 14-liter, launched in 2001, pushed up to 575 horsepower and 1,850 lb-foot of torque. Detroit built over 1 million Series 60s by 2008. The count had crossed that mark, and you can still hear them working every single day. Why do these still outpull newer trucks in the eyes of the people who run them? 2 reasons. First, that flat torque curve and strong low-end grunt made the Series 60 superb underload. It pulls steady and hard exactly where a heavy truck needs it. Second, the pre-2007 versions are gloriously simple. No DPF to plug up, no DF system to fault out, and a design so open and rebuildable that mechanics call it practically open source. A well-kept 12.7 is cheap to overhaul, easy to keep alive, and content to pull for 1 million miles. Newer engines beat it on paper for fuel economy and emissions, but they can't beat it for the kind of stubborn, uncomplicated dependability that keeps a truck earning money decade after decade. Number 5. Mack Super-Liner. Some trucks earn respect. The Mack Super-Liner earns silence. Built from 1977 to 1993, and known internally as the RW, for the Western market R series it sprang from. The Super-Liner is one of the most charismatic heavy haulers ever bolted together, and its signature engine is unlike anything else in this lineup. That engine is the Mack E9, a 998 cubic inch 16.4-liter diesel V8 making up to 500 horsepower with a deep thumping exhaust note that announces it from a mile away. Mack's V8 lineage stretched back to 1962 and is often cited as the only truly successful 4-cycle diesel V8 ever built specifically for big trucks. In the Super-Liner, it became the stuff of legend, hauling logs, heavy machinery, and oversized freight upgrades that would make lesser trucks downshift and pray. Here's how hard these things pull when you let them off the leash. One restored Super-Liner profiled in the trucking press runs a 500 horsepower E9 cranked up to push nearly 680 horsepower, and the owner had to learn to be gentle with it, because with that much torque you can twist driveline parts in half. That same truck, by the way, has racked up nearly 1.8 million miles, gone through one engine change and a full rebuild, and still works for a living. The catch, and the reason these are so prized now, is that Mack stopped building the E9 long ago, and parts are getting scarce and expensive. Finding a running E9-powered Super-Liner today is genuinely rare, but the people who own them wouldn't trade that raw, analog 8-cylinder pull for any modern engine on Earth. There's no electronics to second-guess the driver, no emissions plumbing strangling the exhaust, just 16.5 liters of iron doing exactly what you tell it. To commemorate the second-generation Super-Liner too, Mack even built a limited Magnum run in 1985, almost all of them E9 powered, and those are about as collectible as American trucks get. Number 6. Mack R-Model. Before we leave Mack, we have to talk about the truck that very nearly saved the company and changed how every heavy diesel makes power. The Mack R-Model, built across an astonishing run from 1966 to 2005. Its weapon wasn't displacement or horsepower. It was an idea, and that idea was the Maxidyne. Picture diesel trucks in the mid-1960s. A conventional engine made peak torque in a narrow band, and it had a torque rise. The amount torque climbs as the engine lugs down, of maybe 15 to 20%. Hit a steep grade, let the revs fall below that window, and performance fell off a cliff. The driver had to bang down 5 gears just to keep crawling. Mack broke and losing market share, bet the company on a different concept. When the Maxidyne launched in 1966, it delivered a staggering 52% torque rise. As the truck hit a hill and engine speed dropped, the turbocharger and a clever mechanical fuel control actually fed it more fuel and air per stroke, producing an essentially flat power output across a huge usable band from 1,200 to 2,100 RPM. The practical result was almost magical. A fully loaded Maxidyne R-Model could hit a 6% grade, let the revs sag to 1,200 RPM, and crest the top at around 25 miles per hour without a frantic downshift dance. That low-end pull was so strong that Mack paired the engine with a simple 5-speed Maxitorque transmission, while everyone else needed 10, 13, or 15 gears to get the same work done. Competitors at Cummins, Caterpillar, and Detroit spent the next decade scrambling to copy the high torque rise formula Mack had pioneered. So when an old Maxidyne-powered Mack outpulls a peaky modern setup in the dirt or up a hill, it's not luck. It's the original blueprint for how to make torque where it actually matters, still doing its job nearly 60 years later. Number 7. Ford LTL 9000. People forget Ford once made serious big rigs, and the LTL 9000 was the biggest, baddest one of them all. The L stood for Louisville, after the Kentucky plant that built these trucks, and the whole L series ran from 1970 to 1998. The long-hooded LTL 9000 arrived in 1976 as Ford's answer to the Kenworth W900, Peterbilt 359, Mack Super-Liner, and GMC General, a set-forward axle, long-nose conventional built specifically to make room for the era's biggest diesels. And Ford let you spec the good stuff. The 9000 series didn't use little engines. It took the heavy hitters from the major diesel makers. A buyer could order Cummins NTC and Big Cam power, that classic 855 cubic inch 14.0-liter inline-6, Caterpillar's 3406, or two-stroke Detroit diesels. Most LTL 9000 trucks were custom ordered by owner-operators or fleets, so you'd see them with a Big Cam 3 backed by an Eaton Fuller transmission, set up exactly how the buyer wanted for the loads he ran. That mechanical Cummins or pre-emissions cat is the heart of why these still pull so hard. They're simple, brutal, and endlessly tunable. No regen cycles eating your power. No electronic nanny stepping in on a long grade. Crank the fuel on a Big Cam and it'll lug a heavy load up a hill all day. And the iron underneath was built to last. These were million-mile capable engines in trucks tough enough to take them. There's a poignant footnote here. Ford only ever held a small slice of the heavy truck market, and in 1996 it sold the Louisville line to Freightliner, which kept building it briefly as Sterling Trucks before that brand died in 2009. So the LTL 9000 represents a chapter of American trucking that's truly over. Ford doesn't make Class 8 rigs anymore. The survivors, many now hauling rock and grain on farms, are living proof that a big mechanical diesel in a tough old chassis can outwork trucks built decades later. Number 8. GMC General. Here's another one that history almost lost. From 1977 to 1987, GMC built a full-blown Class 8 conventional called the General, the largest highway truck General Motors ever produced. It wore an all-aluminum cab built by the Budd Company, came with either a 108-inch or 116-inch hood, and fun fact, it's the truck Snowman drives in Smokey and the Bandit too. When GMC entered a joint venture with Volvo in the mid-1980s, the General was quietly killed off, making it one of the last heavy trucks GM ever built on its own. But the reason it's on this list is what lived under that big aluminum hood. The General's standard engine was a Detroit diesel two-stroke, the 671, later the 6V92, with options that ran all the way up to the mighty 8V92, plus Cummins N series, and from 1982, the Caterpillar 3406. And those two-stroke Detroits make a sound no four-stroke diesel can replicate. A high, urgent, unmistakable wail that earned the 71 series the nickname Detroit Screamers. The 8V92 is the one that matters for pulling. It's a turbocharged, after-cooled V8 of roughly 736 cubic inches, essentially a hot-rodded, bigger displacement evolution of the old 8V71, making up to around 450 horsepower in a package that revs and pulls like nothing else. Two strokes fire on every revolution, so they deliver power in a relentless, almost frantic rush. They were never the most fuel-efficient or the cleanest, which is exactly why Detroit eventually retired the two-stroke line. But for sheer character and stubborn pull, contractors, snowplow operators, and heavy haulers kept them alive for decades. Climb into an old GMC General with an 8V92 howling at full song, hooked to a heavy load, and you'll understand why people still chase these trucks down. No modern emissions engine will ever sound or fight like that. Number 9. Western Star 4900. If a truck could be described as overbuilt on purpose, it's the Western Star 4900. Western Star made its name on rugged, heavy-spec conventionals favored in logging, mining, oil field, heavy haul, and the kind of brutal vocational work that destroys lesser trucks, and the long-running 4900 became its flagship workhorse. These are trucks that buyers ordered to last, with heavier frames, heavier axles, and heavier everything than a typical fleet highway tractor. What makes the 4900 a pulling monster is the same theme running through this entire list. You could spec it with a big-bore pre-emissions diesel and a tall set of drivers, and then put it to work. Western Star offered the heavy hitters, Caterpillar's 3466E and the C15, Cummins N14, and later big-bore engines, and Detroit power in chassis stout enough to handle every bit of their torque. A 4900 setup with a turned-up C15 and the right gearing will drag a loaded lowboy out of a muddy job site or up a logging grade in a way that makes modern emission-strangled trucks look timid. And that's really the point. A heavy-spec older Western Star wasn't built for fuel economy or a quiet ride. It was built to apply maximum power to the ground over and over in punishing conditions for years. The pre-emissions versions carry none of the modern baggage, no particulate filter to plug on a slow job site, no exhaust fluid system to fault out in the cold, no software that derates your engine at the worst possible moment. When the work is genuinely hard, when you need a truck that pulls relentlessly and never quits, an old big-bore 4900 is still the rig a lot of operators reach for first. Newer trucks are cleaner and more refined. They are not, in the eyes of the people running these, tougher. Number 10. International 9900 Eagle. We'll finish with the dark horse, the truck most people forget International ever built. Everybody remembers International's engines. Almost nobody remembers that the same company put a genuine long-nose Class 8 flagship on the road and let owner-operators load it with whatever big iron they wanted. Meet the International 9900. It arrived in 1999 to replace the old 9300, and it traced its bloodline all the way back to the 1971 TranStar 4370 long hood, making it one of the last living links to a truck lineage that ran for 46 years. The 9900i came the next year as part of International's I-Series, and the real prize was the 9900iX, International's first 130-inch bumper-to-back-of cab truck, a stretched-out, straight-hooded brute offered only in premium Eagle trim. While the rest of International's lineup chased aerodynamics with sloped hoods, the 9900 went the other way, a long, squared-off nose and an all-aluminum cab built to swallow the biggest motors on the market and look mean doing it. And that's the whole point. International didn't make you settle for a house engine. You spec'd the heavy hitters. A 9900 could be ordered with Caterpillar's 15.2-liter C15, the Cummins N14 red top pushing 475 to 525 horsepower, Detroit Power, or later the ISX. The ones owner-operators chase today are the pre-emissions builds, the same legendary tunable iron praised in the trucks higher up this list, dropped into International's flagship chassis. Listings for clean pre-emissions C15 and N14 9900 still move fast, because buyers know exactly what they've got: a big-bore mechanical error motor with no DPF to plug, no DEF to run dry, and no software waiting to derate you halfway up a grade. So how does a forgotten International outpull a new truck? The same way every rig on this list does, by carrying a turned-up, pre-emissions big bore and refusing to flinch. Crank the fuel on a C15 or an N14 in one of these, and it'll lug a heavy trailer up a grade all day while a newer truck behind it quietly throttles back to babysitter regen. There's a poignant footnote, too. International ended 9900 production in 2017, closing out the entire 9000 series with no direct long-nose successor. The aerodynamic Lone Star took over the role. That makes a clean pre-emissions 9900 Eagle the under-the-radar play in old diesel iron. The same relentless pull as a six-figure show truck in the badge nobody saw coming. Which one would you put in your driveway? Drop it in the comments, and if you love old diesel iron, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.